We're live.
Already?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. I'm opening the September 4th, 2024 Municipal Utilities Authority meeting tonight. Can you open up read the opening statement, please?
Both adequate and electronic notice of this meeting pursuant to both the Open Public Meetings Act and Emergency Remote Meeting Protocol, advising local finance notice 2020-21 has been given by the Director of Finance, Deputy Executive Director of the Evesham Municipal Utilities Authority on February 8th, 2024 in the following manner. Number one, email and written notice to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post. Number two, posting written notice in the official Evesham MUA website. Number three, following written notice with the clerks of Evesham and Medford. Written notice was posted at the authority's business address located at 100 Sharp Road, Marlton, New Jersey 08053 on February 8, 2024. This statement shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Everybody stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chris, could you do the roll call now?
Mr. Kipnis,
I'm here.
Mr. Dross,
Here.
Dr. Hunter. Here. Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Tenza,
Here.
Mr. Waters, not present.
Thank you. We have a motion for the minutes of August 7th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dross,
Aye.
Dr. Hunter. Aye. Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
Abstain.
Mr. Tenza.
Aye. Public comments. Chris, is anyone in the queue?
Nope.
Since there's not, closing public comments. Financial. Resolution 2024-95, payment of bills. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Is there any comments on payment of bills? Since there's none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dross.
Aye.
Dr. Hunter. Aye. Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Tenza.
Aye. Resolution 2024-96, refunds, credits, and cancellations. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments? Since there are none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dross.
Aye.
Dr. Hunter. Aye. Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Tenza.
Aye. Resolution 2024-97, award of emergency contract in excess of $6,600 to complete control services in the amount not to exceed $10,000 to replace the VFD pump at Kings Grant wastewater plant, treatment plant. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any comments? Jim?
Yes, this is VFD that failed and is being replaced. It's about 10 to 12 years old.
All right, good. Any other comments? Since none, have a roll call, please.
Mr. Dross.
Aye.
Dr. Hunter. Aye. Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Tenza.
Aye. Resolution 2024-98, award under state contract in the amount of $8,417.48 to Hainsport Enterprises, Inc. to repair vehicle number 8 dump truck. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, the leaf springs and the shackles underneath, the truck, it does heavy duty work and we do water main breaks, stuff like that. So needed to be addressed and replaced.
How old is that truck?
2009.
Looking at replacing it?
Yes, sir. Next year.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? If none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dross.
Aye.
Dr. Hunter. Aye. Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Tenza.
Aye. Resolution 2024-99, authorizing entry into a 3-year shared services agreement with Evesham Fire Department for the provision of safety and emergency services training to all authority employees. Jim?
Yes, we do shared service with the fire department. They give us first aid, CPR, all that, and we also work with them with confined space entry. So it's kind of- Yes, as well, yes.
All right, thank you. Is there any other comments or statements?
I have a question on these shared services agreements. I know we had talked about whether it was appropriate or not appropriate to have shared services with other municipalities. And I thought about the one that we talked about with Maple Shade, now that we're talking about shared services. And it's Maple Shade that wants to do shared services, not their contractor, which is a private company.
That's correct.
So it's Maple Shade that wants to engage in shared services, even if their services are provided by a vendor.
It's for the greater good of Maple Shade, even though it's a private entity that operates Maple Shade.
Exactly. So,
It is for the community.
yeah,
The community benefits from the shared services. But as you stated, it's run by a for-profit entity.
yeah, so the private entity wouldn't have a financial benefit, it would be the township.
That's correct.
And so I just, was approached, and I thought I would just throw that hat in the ring. It's not my,
I think we'd have to weigh on an opinion from Ms. Grant.
maybe another time, or,
Yeah, I'd be curious how they procured. So sometimes, for example, like the county will go out and procure services on behalf of the county schools, the county college, any municipalities that will avail themselves to it. And they would hire a pool of private vendors. And then again, any municipality could tap those. But you would have to evaluate if the entity looking to join the service would have a conflict with one of those vendors. The procurement is always, there is a procurement process always. And again, you're just, for example, asphalt, or road paving or
Right.
things like that. If folks can't do it, and the private folks do it, you have to just see, at least in the examples I'm familiar with at the municipal and county level, we do it, you're paying the vendor directly, an architect or an engineer.
Right.
It saves you, what you're being saved is almost just the lead time of having to go out
yeah.
and advertise, wait for a meeting to award those types of services.
Yeah, and I don't even know which services could be
Yeah.
shared, but if a dialogue was struck, you might come up with some economies.
So, yeah, that's a different,
But it's probably for different, I only brought it up because it's a
Yeah,
shared service.
I've never-
agreement.
Yeah, so you would enter into the shared service agreement with the other municipality or entity, but then just to essentially tap those prices, but then you'd be you'd be paying the vendor directly, and then most likely when they went out, they would have considered you the authority as one of the potential purchasers. So again, maybe you get a better rate because you're buying in bulk or something. That type,
Right.
so I'm not sure how, if they already have something, you can
Yeah.
get in it already versus if this is a new.
You're thinking of a co-op is what you're saying.
If this is similar to a co-op, yes, when you're gonna use a vendor on the, like here, the authority employees are having a relationship with the fire district employees and staff, so that's totally different than
Okay,
how something else would,
Right.
a
Yeah.
private,
And
purchase, yeah.
listen, we have like 565 municipalities in the state, and other states, some other states, few other states, they've consolidated a lot of their, government stuff. So the more shared services that we can do, Medford, Mount Laurel,
Agreed.
we
Yeah, agreed. It's something that I can talk offline with Kelly about how to properly to achieve that goals.
all right, thanks.
well, I have to bring a motion up on that for resolution 2024-99. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Dross?
Aye.
Dr. Hunter? Aye. Mr. Sweeney?
aye,
Mr. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Penza?
Aye. Resolution 2024-100, authorizing delegation of authority to award a contract having an anticipated value in excess of $6,600, but below the bid threshold of $44,000 to the authority's qualified purchasing agent. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Jim? Oh, Laura.
So the New Jersey statute does allow a governing body to authorize the appointed QPA to award contracts up to the current bid threshold, which is $44,000. And authorizing the QPA, who is myself, to award these smaller contracts. It enhances the operating efficiencies because it would eliminate the waiting period between board meetings to obtain board authorization for the smaller contracts.
And you've done this for how many years now?
Well, I was appointed in 2015.
So it works.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So it works. Thank you. Any comments? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Dross,
Aye.
Dr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
So I'm gonna vote aye, but I actually have a comment
Go ahead.
or a question for Laura. Laura, how many contracts do you typically approve between 6,600 and 44,000?
Well,
No problem.
like,
Right here we
we
have
have
three.
three. So I would say, it's between 3 and 5 a month. So then instead of them appearing on the agenda, I'll just approve them, but that doesn't eliminate all the, the requirements for various statutory documents. We still have to get our quotations, do our homework. So all of that will still take place. It just eliminates the wait time between board meetings to award the contract.
So we will just be voting on expenditures higher than 44,000.
Yes.
Streamline the process on things like this, we really needed it day one.
Yeah.
When it went down, so we're relying on jockey pumps to maintain what our ethanol is doing. So if we can procure this a lot quicker, it's better for our operations.
Same thing with the dump truck.
Right.
Could have used it tonight. Haven't heard.
No.
We have to.
Okay,
last vote, Mr. Tanza.
I'm sorry.
I did not ask, Mike Schmidt asked a question, so I voted for him, but I did not get for approval for the motion.
All right, so we'll go for a motion again.
No, that's all done.
Vote.
Mike Schmidt voted,
Yes.
and then he said, I have a question, so I didn't get to you, so I just need you said that you say yes.
Aye.
Whatever you're-
Okay. Resolution 2024-101, awarded contract in excess of $6,600 to Toitris Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $11,555 to repair Wood Stream wastewater treatment plant roof. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
And Jim?
Yes, this roof, it's a metal corrugated roof and some of the hardware came loose and then the wind kind of blew it up. So we had to
How long has the roof been on there?
90s.
Yeah, it's supposed to have some
Which we have, yeah.
Was it
It's over the Bio4 building, so it's up, what's that, 50 feet in the air or so at least.
What's the anticipated expectancy of for it to maintain its original?
He's gonna go up there and we can get a quote from him for some of these roofs around some of the buildings. That's gonna be next year's. Hopefully we can get on the agendas for some of the roofs are starting to get dated. So he's gonna give us a price for
I
those
like
as
to keep
well.
it proactive instead of reactive. Thank you.
Yes, yep.
All right, is there any other comments? If not, roll call please.
Mr. Dross.
Aye.
Dr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Sweeney,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Tanza.
Aye. Executive Director's Report.
All right, I'm happy to report that we had no violations for the month of August. However, we do have 3, what we are calling exceedances. We had a sewer system overflow on Squirrel Road. We had a fecal hit at one of our monitoring wells out at the basins. And we also had a pH exceedance at our Kings Grant facility. The sewer system overflows, it's sort of a routine thing. Anytime the sewer overflows, we go out there, we unjam the situation, clog or rectify the situation. We call in the DEP, explaining that we had a DEP violation exceedance, that we cleaned it up. This is what was wrong. This is what we plan to do in the future. We had the fecal hit out of our basins. That's a very rare one. We believe that it was an error on the side of the lab. We went back and forth with them. However, we still issued an exceedance letter to the DEP. And since then, we tested that monitoring well on 8/26, and we had non-detect. So we're really not sure how they came up with the bad fecal hit at the lab. And the pH exceedance is, we believe that was a new operator in training. He wrote down the number that he felt that he had received, that he got from the testing. He wrote that down. However, because he wrote that down, that is now legal document. So we reported that it was a bad hit. We never really have an issue out there with the pH. But again, any of these situations, we have to reach out to DEP and say this happened. And we issue what we call an affirmative defense for each one of these situations. The affirmative defense is written by Caitlin, it's reviewed by me. We send it to the DEP enforcement officer, and they'll review it and they'll render the decision on that. Highly unlikely we expect to see anything out of this, other than thank you for issuing our affirmative defense. But we never know. You know, they'll take their time. We can see a response to this in a week or in a year. So we did our diligence. We report to them. I can tell you, you know, a lot of experience, a lot of years of experience, that we pretty much let the DEP know every single thing that goes wrong, what we think is going on. And I believe, Kate, if I'm correct, the pH didn't really even need to be recorded, correct? It's not part of the
It's a process control sample.
yes, it's an in-house sample that we do to, you know, for our processes, but because it was reported, it's now a legal document, so we call out the DEP. If anybody has any questions on that, we can move to the next one.
We're good. Anybody else has any comments, questions? All right, thank you.
On the August 26th, we had what is called a collections inspection. The DEP enforcement officer for the water side, he came in and he spent a good 8 hours in our facilities going over all of our water facilities. So one of the things he does, he goes over all the paperwork. He spent 45 minutes with Kate and Kate's office going over all the paperwork. He went out with our field supervisors to each one of our wells, inspects our wells, and he went out to he went out to all of our towers, inspected the towers. So he'll render an opinion. He'll take his time to render an opinion for things that he noticed. We don't expect anything major, but we do expect a lot of ancillary things. One of the things he picked out, there was rust on the bolt. I mean, that's kind of things he's looking for. Maybe some things that he might want to see differently how we operate. We don't expect anything major out of that, but we do expect them to do their diligence and give us some kind of report feedback to make some changes or adjustments on our end. We'll continue to monitor that and further report as that comes in. We participated in National Night Out. We worked alongside the Boy Scouts. That's always a great event, great time. It's very well received in the community. As Jim, we talked about shared services with the fire department. We do have CPR training coming up the 12th of this month for the employees who want to be CPR certified and trained. And that's one of the shared services that we'll be doing that with them. And we have Harvest Fest this month, the 28th of September. So that's another event that we will be attending, and that's always well received by the community and the visitors who come to that. That's pretty much all that I have.
Thank you.
With that being said, Kate's up next.
Okay, regulatory compliance manager, Ms. Farah. Review of 2024 consumer confidence report. You're on.
Correct.
You all right, Chris?
Yeah. Let me just do this.
Hey, you get something to today?
Yes, a lot of water. And I'm seated.
We're getting student layers.
He looks like he's muted.
I can see it.
Okay.
All right, so you should all have a copy of the most recent consumer confidence report in front of you. So I will be going over that, giving you all an update on our most recent monitoring results from 2023. I'll also touch upon briefly, UCMR 5 unregulated contaminant monitoring rule, as well as some new PFAS testing regulations. So a little bit more than the CCR. So just as a reiteration, I gave this presentation last year, but the CCR is a federal requirement. EPA requires community water systems to provide a drinking water quality report on an annual basis. So we prepare and send this out by July 1st of every year. And you could see up on the screen some of the pertinent information that we include in the CCR in terms of where our drinking water comes from. We include that, any regulated contaminants that we may have tested for in 2023, that's included in the CCR. We test for a wide variety of parameters from daily to monthly, once every year, every 3 years, every 6 years. All that's included in CCR is those detected contaminants. So there's many more contaminants that we test for, but only if they are detected are they included in the report. We also include the health effects of those detected compounds, if any violations occurred, as well as results from the 2 systems that we purchase water from. So I give these illustrations and real world examples every year just to put into perspective of how low that these labs are detecting down to and how advanced technology is becoming and how that's driving our regulations. So most of the parameters are reported in parts per million, also referred to as milligrams per liter, or parts per billion, referred to as micrograms per liter. So to put things into perspective, 1 part per million would be equivalent to an inch in 16 miles, a minute in 2 years, or a penny in $10,000. Speaking of parts per billion, that is 1,000 times smaller than a part per million. 1 drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, a blade of grass on a football field, or a pinch of salt in 10 tons of potato chips. So just remember those illustrations and examples as I go through the results. It's a little tough to see on the screen, but you guys have a copy of the result in front of you. So the first page, once you flip it over, it'll give a table of those regulated detected compounds. So it's pretty easy. It's a nice visual to see. On the left-hand side, you'll see the contaminant. Where there is a year next to it, that's the most recent year that was monitored for, because not everything is an annual requirement. All other compounds in this CCR were tested last year in 2023. Second column, you could see really quickly, were there any violations in the last year? So you can see no. Then the units that I just went over, most of them are ppb or ppm. Next column would be the maximum levels that are allowed, either state or federal limits. For lead and copper, there are action levels, and for all other compounds, there's MCLs, which stands for maximum contaminant level. Then you'll see the highest level detected and the range detected, as well as how these compounds enter our drinking water. So a nice visual, you can look at any compound and see where our levels fall compared to any maximum enforceable limits. But you can see that we're well below any limits for any of these compounds. And then on the next 2 pages, you could see Mount Laurel's results as well as New Jersey Americans. But for this presentation, I'm just going to review the results from our drinking water wells. So those are the regulated compounds. I thought it'd be worth noting, in this CCR, our last reported lead and copper samples were back in 2021. We actually are required to sample this year, as we're required to sample every 3 years, 30 samples from residents' homes. So our community, our residents help us out taking those samples. We've been sampling from June to September. So these are up-to-date results of this year. You could see all our results are well below the action level for lead. That level is 15 micrograms per liter. Our results range from non-detect to 1.8. I think we only had 2 samples with low levels of lead, and then copper range from 34 to 250 micrograms per liter. And the maximum level there is 1,300. This includes, I believe, 27 results that we've gotten so far from our contract lab. So in compliance with that monitoring. What's also included in the CCR is secondary standards. These secondary standards are substances that do not have an impact on health. They more so affect aesthetic qualities like taste and odor. So these are also included. There are no mandated limits. There are recommended upper limits. So there's no enforceable mandates. They're just recommendations. In that 4th column, you'll see RUL recommended upper level. So you can see all of our results. We report the highest level and the range detected in our wells. All of those results are well below any of the RULs. The next topic I would like to discuss is PFAS. As you can see in this consumer confidence report, PFAS is not included, which is great because we have not detected any PFAS compounds. So I thought that was worth noting because that's a big buzzword. It's all over the news. In the state of New Jersey, we're required to test for 3 PFAS compounds. There's thousands of different PFAS. They're a collective group of man-made chemicals. They're in a lot of consumer and industrial products beginning in the 40s. They're called forever chemicals because they're long lasting, they're persistent in the environment, and they don't break down easily. So you can see the MCLs. These are state MCLs for PFNA and PFAS. That's 0.013 parts per billion. And then PFOA is 0.014. So our lab can detect down to 0.002 parts per billion. So if you go back to my beginning slide, that's a blade of grass on a football field or a drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So 0.002 is 500 times smaller than that visualization, and our lab is not detecting that low, which is great. So we test for those 3 PFAS on an annual basis. We have had no detections in 2023, and our next monitoring is September of 2024, so in 2 weeks. Transitioning to our unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. The reason I bring this up, I'll tie it all together, but the Safe Drinking Water Act requires that once every 5 years, they come out with a list of 30 unregulated contaminants that they want public water systems to monitor. They are unregulated, but they are known or anticipated to occur in public water systems. So they want to know the prevalence and the different levels that these compounds may have, and because they may warrant regulations in the near future. So the purpose is to provide data to EPA, the state, and the public on the occurrence of these compounds. So it is no surprise that of 30 compounds that EPA can choose, 29 are PFAS, unregulated PFAS. So they're heavily interested in determining the PFAS compounds worldwide. So 29 PFAS, and then lithium is the 30th compound. Water systems had to test between 2023 and 2025. EVSHAM began testing in 2024. So at our wells, we're required to take 2 samples at each well 6 months apart. So that monitoring was in February and August. And then we're also required to collect at the interconnections quarterly. And the EPA, again, will use this data to determine if any of these should be regulated in the future, which we anticipate they will be. So I'm happy to report that we had no detections for any of the 29 PFAS compounds in any of our wells or interconnections in the first sampling in February 2024. We just sampled this past month in August. Results are pending, but if we didn't see it in February, hopefully we don't see it in August. And again, less than the MRL. If you look at the right column, that's 0.005, 0.003, 0.002 parts per billion. Yep, so again, very low detections that the lab had to detect down to, and we were below all of those. And that brings up new EPA regulations. On April 10th of 2024. EPA had announced that the final national primary drinking water regulation that they are regulating 6 PFAS compounds. You could see 5 of them have individual MCLs of 4 parts per trillion, 1,000 times smaller than parts per billion, and then for the first 2, and then 10 parts per trillion for the next 3, and then the last is a calculation of hazard index calculation of 1 for 4 of the PFAS compounds. So we'll be required in the near future by 2027 to be testing for these PFAS compounds to do initial monitoring. But I'm happy also to report that these compounds were all included in the UCMR 5, and we didn't have detection for any of them. So hopefully we don't, continue to have non-detects for those. But these MCLs are higher than the MRLs, so we are lower with our UCMR data, and we have been below those levels. So just tying everything in together, but we anticipate a lot of PFAS to be regulated in the near future. But the EMUA is happy that we don't have PFAS. All our results from our CCR have been in compliance, and we're well below any actionable levels. So that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Well, thank you. My favorite topic.
PFAS?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you didn't have detections at connections, but American Water has 4.140 on PFOA and PFAS. So does that just get mixed in with the rest of our water? Or
No, the interconnect is from
Interconnects.
their supply.
They touched on it, the interconnects have to be tested as well. So wherever they're testing from, by the time it gets to us, it's blended with all their other sources through Cherry Hill.
but they report the highest compliance was 4.1 and 4.
That's fine, but where we test from,
Yeah,
at the interconnect, that is the interconnect from New Jersey American, we have non-detect. So where it diminishes along the route, we
I
don't
see.
know, but once it's to us, it's not there.
so this might have been tested somewhere in their
It
distribution
should be right at their
system,
site.
but at our interconnect, we're not seeing it.
That's correct.
So, well, that's just like, makes you think,
Yeah.
Solution
Solution is the solution.
is it, so curious, with this water agreement, is there any service level agreement that we have so that if they're not providing compliant water, we don't have to take it?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sure I have to look that up.
Or precedent? Maybe there's a legal precedent that says,
I'm sure there is.
contract says we don't have to take it if it doesn't meet standards.
I'm sure there is.
Because the new EPA rule obviously is, going to be 4.0 for each one of those, 10 for the others, and then a hazardous index on 6th and 7th element, so.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, we're not gonna want to take their word if it's not compliance to our system. So I'm quite sure that, we can do some kind of, legal actions toward them to shut down. Or to improve their services.
On a practical measure, I'll bet you they're just gonna filter it by the time that, what is it, 3 years? 2020.
I think they have until 2029 for
2029?
those for enforceable action.
In the meantime,
Monitoring is 2027, and I think they gave 3 or 5 years.
so in the meantime, if
5
we
years
do get it, it meets New Jersey's 13 and 14 PPT, but we're still drinking it. We're still drinking at a level that's known to be not good.
As long as the regulation says that it's good, we can accept it.
We can accept it legally, yeah, by regulation, but
I would imagine that New Jersey American Water can turn around and say it meets the standard, that we couldn't do anything.
yeah, I was just concerned
Yeah,
about
because these
drinking.
results do.
Was that,
These results do meet the standard. But UCMR detected actually lower than these.
Yeah, but
quantities and did not detect it.
I see that. I know there's other water systems in the state, that are below the 13, 14. But above the 4.0 upcoming, and in the meantime, the concern is people are still drinking that water until the regulation says they have to bring it down below.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is good news that you don't detect at the connection point. Yeah. Wastewater. That was my next question. When's that coming?
Wastewater, that would be up to DEP, EPA. I mean, I see it coming.
Yeah.
They're already doing pilot testing.
Right.
So, yeah, I see it coming.
Ways off.
Yeah, it's ways off, kind of like, it indicated these, out of these 30-something compounds.
Yeah.
Next year, there'll be 10 more or so added. It just keeps adding and adding to the UCMR.
And they also say that, regulating those 5, 6 will also drive down other PFAS that co-occur
Yeah.
with the regulated ones.
But we're still picking it up from wherever food that we all eat.
Yeah, which is the unfortunate event. If it is in our wastewater, we're not.
Yeah.
It's transient. It's all
But
comes to us.
But the oddity is we didn't create it, but we can't release it ultimately someday.
No problem
Possibly,
there.
yeah, possibly that would happen.
Yeah.
No one's figured out what to do with PFAS and wastewater yet.
Yeah.
If anything. If
We're
you're,
talking about incineration, which is
well,
very, very, very costly.
There's biotechnologies. I think I sent you one. There's things that are being developed. It's a thirsty market to try and, no pun intended, for solving that thing. But almost every community has a wastewater problem.
Oh, yeah.
Much smaller, maybe.
We see in our
2
waste
feet.
streams.
Yeah, we have to monitor one of our wastewater treatment plants.
We do.
We see
Report
it.
only,
Okay.
it's detected.
We're on 17 parts per billion, I believe it is, something around there.
17 parts per billion.
I think they range from 4 to like 17, yeah. For the
PPB.
different compounds.
Wow. Okay.
Excuse me, guys, it's Blue. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
I think Byron has a really good idea. I don't think it could hurt to check our agreement to see if we either have outs to reject the water or other cause of action against New Jersey American. So, just to be prepared.
Understood.
Well, good news is we don't have it in our water.
yeah, not in our aquifer.
That's right. Thanks for checking up on it.
So Kelly, I'll give you the agreement and you guys will send out the job.
And the rest of the results look
We'll take
fantastic.
care of that, Mr. Gibbs.
DBPs look great.
Are there any other comments you have?
I just have a comment and a question, Kate.
Okay.
First off, thank you for your presentation. For us. Is there anything year over year that has moved in a direction that, although we have excellent results, is there anything you can see that maybe a couple years out, if it continues down that path, maybe an issue for us?
Not really, all these results, if you look back year to year, they're pretty consistent,
They are.
yeah.
How about, and I guess this is a comment on the PFAS discussion, because everyone talks about it. And it could be on our website. If it is, I apologize. But can we put something on our website just to talk about how we're doing with that? Or is
We
that-
did post something 2023 on our website, yeah, regarding our monitoring for PFAS as it was non-detected. That could have been 2 years ago or a year ago.
Do you think it would make sense just, for the ratepayers, just to have something on the website? Because it's just, every time you talk to someone about water, even if they don't know what PFAS means,
Yeah,
what they'll throw out, like,
yeah.
about.
I included a small blurb at the bottom. It's
Yeah.
probably really hard to read, but in blue, just because I'm limited on, space. I do have that we've tested for those 3 PFAS compounds, 2020, 21, 22, and 23, and there have been no detections on any of them. But in terms of UCMR data, this is brand new. We just got our
Yeah.
results this year but we can,
It's totally your call.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to put it out there on that type of site. I mean, if there's no interest, no one's asking the question, that could be another indicator, maybe.
The only time that the question really comes to us in phone calls is when something is in the news. Some kind of tagline or some kind of issue or some kind of dumping or some kind of spill. Then we get inundated for phone calls for a few days. Generally, we can quell them phone calls, but we have no problem putting something on the website, we'll come up with crafty verbiage to put on there about PFAS. Generally, when we add things to it, that's when questions start to get asked.
Right.
I'm kind of the guy, and I may be wrong about this, but I'm kind of like leave sleeping dogs lie.
Right. I'll defer to you. I it came into my head.
I'll do whatever the commissioners, you guys want to do, and I'm fine with. I have no problem putting something on the website.
I mean, this is really reflects what a great water system we have here.
Yeah. You really stay on top of it. You can easily over chlorinate and create DVPs and all the monitoring. It's a lot of work. That's great.
We're putting together some educational stuff for the website anyway, so we'll work something up and. I'll talk to
Defer to you guys.
see what.
Perfect, we'll go with it.
All right, that's good, Michael.
thanks.
Totally. Caitlin, excellent. Any other comments? If not. Engineer's report.
Yes. Okay, Southside Water Tank, nothing new to report. Route 70 water main, most of that work is done. We're working with the contractor now to investigate the possibility of extending the water main down to Center Boulevard to ensure that all of that section is out of Route 70. So I'll report back on that next month. Route 70 sewer main is basically finished, except for that one section that we have difficulty finding a contractor who wants to either open cut that replacement or to expand the line. That's in place. So, but we'll keep working on that. Elmwood Storage Building, we've worked out some of our issues with the code officials in the township, and the contractor got some permits to continue working, so that's a good thing. And code officials said they'll get back to us on the remaining question. We expect that later this week. Well 6 projects, they're basically finished, and well 6 is online. Elmwood UV, we have Latimer Construction on board for that contract. We'll be having a pre-construction meeting with them probably next week. Yeah, or the week after, I think it is, yeah.
He was looking
Yeah,
at
the 16th, right, yeah. Heritage Village Phase 2, that's on maintenance bond. Heritage Village Water Main Phase 3. We have the change order work yet to be performed. The contractor's waiting for some materials to be delivered. He expects those in probably around the end of this month. And he'll be back on the water main replacement in Heritage Village in October. Same goes for Cardinal Court, Sweet Gum Court, and Cottonwood Drive. There's some materials that are on order. Apparently brass is the issue of the supply chain right now.
What's that?
Brass.
Brass?
Yes. So it's needed for the water services to be reconnected, and contractors having a hard time getting anything with a brass component, and expects them by the end of this month. Sinelli Farm Lift Station, I'm pushing for that treatment works approval application to be submitted. I'll push for that to get done within the next couple of weeks. And Elmwood and Woodstream SCADA, we have Allied Controls on board for that. They have submitted shop drawings already. We're reviewing those, and we will keep them going.
Thank you, Wayne. Is there any questions for the engineer? There's no questions. General Counsel's report. Excellent. I'd like to report to that. Is there any public comments since nobody's here? Chris, anybody in the queue? No? Closed. All right, board comments. Let's start off with Mr. Kipnis. Lou, good evening. You with us, Lou?
You're muted. He's muted right now. Sure he's on the way.
All right, go with Byron.
Can you hear me?
Byron, any comments?
Yeah, we
Can you
can
hear me, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got on specifically to hear the CCR. I'd like to thank Caitlin. It's always a good thing to have in our hip pocket, just in case we're around town and somebody brings it up or, listen, I think the calendar's a real worthwhile thing to have. And, I just want to thank you for all you guys do. And, that was a great presentation.
Thank you, Lou. Byron.
Part of my professional career every day is looking for townships with bad CCRs so I can go in there and help them. And you've done a really stellar job. I mean, not just like making sure a water's high quality, but also monitoring for those contaminants. You never know when something's going to come up. And I know it's all regulated, but you're keeping up with all that stuff, running the lab. Highly appreciate.
Well, I have to attribute running the lab to Mike Zukoski,
Okay.
our lab tech. He does all the sampling, he does the testing, coordinates with the contract lab, so he does a really good job.
Thanks to Mike too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And Wayne, I thanks, I never really say this, but thanks for all the stuff that you're doing. Look after all our projects. You got, you're juggling balls up in the air and,
All right, thank you, Byron. Rich, your turn. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I also want to tell Caitlin you did a great job with your report. And just a heads up, when you go to look at these pre-engineered buildings, the standing seam roofs, they're very expensive. Just be aware when you go to what you're looking at. We're putting a roof at our building. And it's a roof over a roof, standing seam roof. We're looking at 700,000. So.
Wow.
I know you said you're going to be
Wow.
checking all the roofs. They're not cheap.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Dr. Hunter.
Yes, first off, thank you again, Caitlin. It was an awesome report, and I think that says a lot about the MUA in general, the lab, and everyone who works, to keep the quality at what it is. It's pretty exceptional, actually. So, it's, just thank you all for the awesome work you do. And also, I wanted to say that this is actually my last night as a member of the MUA, what happened, it's good news and bad news, but what happened, I had my shoulder tapped on for town council, so I'll finish out the year and then I'm running for
Congratulations.
the remainder. Yeah,
Oh.
Thank you guys. And I just cannot express enough how rewarding it was to just work with all of you. I think the commissioners, I think all the staff and the management and our professionals, I just always felt definitely a part and really felt heard. So I just thank you all. And once again, I'm still in town. So, and also, you definitely, if I'm fortunate enough to be able to continue on council past 2025, you have a friend. So just give me a call. You have my contact information. So if you need to be put on the agenda, let you know and I'll get you on there.
Get the inside.
To the best of my
Get the inside track.
Yes.
We know the owner.
We appreciate your diligence in working with you throughout the last few years, and it's a great experience for us as well as you, so thank you.
Yeah, good practice here for sitting on a board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is very good. Thank you very much.
And now we're all
who we are and what we do.
Exactly, and I so appreciate it now. Every time I turn on the water, I will think of you guys.
Thank you, Crystal.
Quid pro quo with town council, I heard it.
Michael,
So, Crystal, Dr. Hunter, congratulations. You did an excellent job. Good luck in your journey in politics.
Which totally subsides. Thought I was gonna be at my laptop for the rest of my career. So.
It is, it's always nice to have an advocate in our governing body. So especially after what happened several years in the past, prior to all of us being on this board. So to have a fan on council is, that's right, is a great thing. So congratulations. Best of luck. I've enjoyed working with you here on this board. I just want to thank our employees for doing what they do every day. And I mean, the results I think pretty indicative of the quality that we do every day in this EMUA. So thank you, and also to everyone in this room. That's it.
all right, thank you. All right, I'd like to thank and not acknowledge the authority for taking part in National Night Out. We're very interested part for years since it started 14 years ago. We've always been a part of it. It's always great looking at the new tent there also. Chris Frank's coming out and our executive director being there also. The Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts had a blast giving out all water. They certainly did step up and go for it. And also looking forward to see the MUA tent on Main Street for the Harvest Fest. We've got a good spot. And it's always great seeing you there in the presentation that we give to all those ratepayers and residents that pass by. Caitlin, thank you for the outstanding report. Again, you're on top notch. Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank our professionals, our administrative staff, supervisors, operating group, and all of our commissioners. We do an outstanding job. I thank you very much. And congratulations or condolences. I don't know about that. I wish you the best in your future coming up. I hope everything works out for you. Summer's almost over, so with that, that's the end of my comments. And right now, our next meeting for the board and for the EMUA Municipal Utilities Authority will be Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, 7 o'clock, same bat channel, same bat time.
Yes.
You said Tuesday?
Yes, it's Polish holiday.
Oh, that's right, had to be changed, that's right. Thank you for that. Outstanding. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, Madam Clerk, motion? Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now it's done. Thank you all.
All right, folks, take care.
Thank you, Lou. Thank